Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. And now we look at a 2021 horror film, Blood Red Sky, which is something that was on my radar, but I didn't have a chance to watch it. Till now, I'm trying to complete these movies. I should start. Eternal is on the list somewhere. Hold on. Let me sort of cross the stuff off. Hold on a minute. Alright, so this was one of the movies that was on my radar, like I said. Never had a chance to watch it till now. So I watched it. And I enjoyed this movie. Alright, I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed this movie. Okay? There were some things that bugged me about this movie, but overall, thought it was pretty good. The story is this woman and her son are boarding this plane to go to New York from Germany, I believe, and this is a German film. We'll get to that. And she's going to see a doctor about her condition. She supposedly has leukemia, we're led to believe, and but while they're on the plane, these supposed terrorists hijacked the plane, but unfortunately for them, there's something far worse on this plane than they could ever imagine. Vampires. So, yes, this is a vampire on a plane movie, which I don't know if this has ever been done before, but it was very interesting. So the first thing I need to point out, so there's a couple things with this movie. First of all, we do the cliche where the movie starts with after everything has happened, and then they ask this little kid what happened, and he tells them, and then everything is presented as a story he is telling. So, yeah, that's a cliche that needs to stop. Honestly, I see way too much in movies. It's like, oh, we'll just present it as if someone's telling the story, but it's like, oh, we start the movie, it's already happened, this is what happened, and then we go back. But when you do that, we see that the pilot, the guy who's flying the plane, and this kid, Elias, whatever, are the only two survivors. So, right then and there, they're the only two that we see, actually. Right then and there, that tells us something happened to the other passengers. When you do that, when you frame it as, oh, you gotta tell us what happened, we know that the only people you've showed us so far are the only survivors. That has to be the thing. They try to keep, the vampire thing kind of hidden at first, but, yeah. The other thing that bugs me is, so this is a German film. I kind of figured it was foreign. It's a German film. It's dubbed in English. Now, I like dubs of movies, of foreign movies, because I like it and I don't like it. I like it because I don't want to have to watch a movie that's foreign and have to read subtitles for the whole time. I like to be able to hear what's going on. I can move around. I can go to the bathroom and still listen to what's going on. I don't have to keep reading the subtitles. I have to pause it if I have to go to the bathroom or I have to go in the other room and find something. I like that. But I don't. There's also a negative side to that. A lot of voiceover actors are just there to make money, and they don't give a shit of what kind of performance they give. That is sort of half in this. Like, for the most part, the voice over cast they got to do this, not bad. Except for whoever is voicing Elias, whatever. From the moment he starts talking, Mommy, I got our passage Mama, I got our, you know, our tickets. And I'm just like, no, 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 no. And by the way, the biggest negative in this movie is the kid. He's got to be the stupidest, the dumbest fucking kid in the entire world. And we'll get to it because it's at the end of this film. He's just, I'm like, throughout the film, actually, he keeps doing stupid fucking stuff that just, oh. I know he's supposed to be a kid, but he knows what his mom is going through. He's dealt with this since he was a baby. And he's still, I understand it's his mom, but it just, yeah. I know it's designed to pull your heartstrings because at the end he's got to make a decision, but it just makes this kid look like a big idiot. It really does. So they get on the plane, right? Beforehand they meet this guy named Farid, who will be another main character we see later at the beginning of this too. And he talks about how his flight was changed, and we find out that plays into the terrorists. And the terrorists have really had I've seen all these movies, and it really puts me off of ever wanting to fly, because you could just, I'm going on a flight to New York, and then all of a sudden, we're hijacking this thing, and while vampires are not a realistic thing, the hijacking could be, and it's just like, why can't we just have a nice flight? And it would be one thing if they just came on there and hijacked, but they revealed that one of the stewards is one of the flight attendants, the male flight attendant, is in on it, and the co-pilot. I don't know. And they never actually say why they're doing this. Like, there's a guy that says, oh, they're doing it to crash the stock market or something like that. And it's just like, but that's not an official reason. The terrorists, as you would call them, never actually say why they're doing it. And they're blaming these two Arab people, one of them Farid, to read off a thing so that they'll take the blame. And it works, because these Scottish people who we see at the beginning of the film think Farid is a terrorist. And that's the thing. We'll get to it. So, during this, everybody's told to put their heads down and their hands up on the thing, which I don't know what that does. Elias sees a moment where he can hide in this hatch, so he runs off. But when Nadia, the mom, tries to chase after him, she is shot by 8-Ball, who is the most psychotic terrorist I have ever seen. He just shoots her. Like, he's like, I'm just going to get my son. And he's like, shoots her, and I'm like, what the fuck? And they take the gun away from her, like, what the fuck is your problem? And so they think she's dead, and he's all freaking out, and he's down there, and he tries to sneak away. But eventually he's caught again. But she's not dead. We see flashbacks, and that's the thing. We start seeing flashbacks of where she was with her husband and baby Elias, and their car breaks down. So the dad, her husband, goes to find help. And then it cuts. And then she dies, and it's like, well, we didn't see what happened. There has to be something else going on, because we didn't see what happened with the flashbacks. And then we have another flashback where Nadia, with the baby, comes across a house where she finds her dead husband, and there's vampires in there. She kills one of them because the sunlight comes out. I guess he died in the sunlight. And then later comes back. I'm just going to tell you the whole flashback. Later comes back to talk to the other vampire that's there, who is the father of the vampire she killed. And she kills him and takes this serum that supposedly helps push back the vampire transformation, which we see later is like, that sort of works, but not really. And then she's back and she's alive. She goes down to the cargo hold. She feeds on a dog, poor doggy. And then one of the terrorists comes down and she feeds on him, drinking human blood. starts her full transformation. Here's the thing, though. I've watched a lot of vampire TV shows and movies. And by the lore established in those TV shows and movies and books and everything, she should not be a vampire. Everyone knows that if you are bitten by a vampire and you have not drunk human blood yet, when you're not a full vampire yet, and you can be turned back if the vampire that turned you is killed. Being that she kills the vampire that turned her, she shouldn't be changing into a vampire anymore. So I was scratching my head on that. I'm like, man, no. Whoever wrote this obviously didn't pay attention to vampire lore. If you kill the vampire that bit you, you're no longer a vampire. So this shouldn't be happening. She should be dead, technically, because... or they shouldn't even be there, because she shouldn't be a vampire. If later that guy comes back and says to her his son was dead, she killed him, then she shouldn't be a vampire anymore. I'm sorry. If you go by the lore, I've seen it in a lot of things. For it to just be ignored here, it just kind of meh. But yeah, so she starts to transform her, she wig off, bald, eyes and stuff. She goes back up, and eventually they're able to take back the cockpit because they're going to jump off, and because they're going to blame the two Arab people. And they're the only two that know how to fly, and it was no coincidence that they're there. So they were set up, and so they have to go away to turn the plane around. But they say, oh, we'll wait till they jump. But then they find not only their buddy's body, but the dog. And they kill the dog thinking the dog killed their buddy. But then when they find a trail of blood, they realize that she's still alive and that something else is going on. Hey Bob puts two and two together and is like, oh, she's a vampire. Just casually says that, I guess. And so they end up in a fight. She ends up back down there somehow and bites him and tries to burn him, but his buddies save him. But he turns into a vampire and kills them. And then he starts turning passengers. So there's a whole bunch of vampires by the end of this. And they decide they have to land in Scotland. And everybody is trapped. All the other vampire passengers are trapped back there. So my complaint about Elias and how stupid he is. There are times where he is safe. And just because his mother doesn't come back or his mother takes off, he runs after her. Mama! And runs after her. I'm like, dude, your mom is turning into a vampire. Best case scenario, you're dead. Best case scenario, you get bit and turn into one. Worst case scenario, you're dead. Just leave her alone. And he keeps going back for her. Even the most bullshit of scenes. I don't know why this keeps happening, but he ends up down the cargo hold and he has the detonator thing with him. And the mom's down there and she's slowly losing her consciousness because she's turning into a vampire. And we have 8-Ball, who is hanging onto the side. Farid turns the plane so the heat burns up, and then Elias tries to hug his mom, she pushes him back. And he tries it again, she pushes him back. And he tries it again. I'm like, dude, take a fucking hint. Why do you keep going for her? I understand she's your mom, but this kid, this kid's 8 years old. My son's 2 years older than him. My son would understand this better. This kid is stupid. I hate to say this because the kid, but just fucking turn him or bite him or throw him out. At this point, she keeps pushing him back. Just go, you know what? You won't leave me alone? Go out the freaking plane. I mean, she wants to protect him, but he's so stupid. At any point in this film, he keeps running towards the danger. For all intents and purposes, he should be dead. But he's not. And then we cut back to present day, and they've decided Farid is the terrorist and they want him to release the passengers. They even after Elias's story, they don't believe him. Farid keeps trying to tell him that all the passengers are dead. They don't believe him. So what is there to do? They decide to wait till nightfall, because that's a fucking stupid thing. And of course, all the vampires, they come out. They take Farid because they think he is the terrorist. Pull him away. As Elias comes screaming for Farid, he's screaming, "I'm over here! I'm over here!" Very loud. "Elias, I'm over here!" Again, stupid kid doesn't hear someone yelling for him. And then his mom comes out, and again, "Mama!" I'm like, kid, go away. But it's revealed he has the detonator thing in his teddy bear, blows the thing to pieces, and I'm like, thank God he made the final choice. Yes, it's designed to pull your heartstrings because that's his mother, and I get it. But this kid should be smarter than this. He's been living with this for 8 years. Growing up with the fact that his mom is going to turn into a hideous vampire. He should be ready to let her go. But he keeps running to her. And it's designed to pull at your heartstrings. But all it does is make me think this kid is an idiot. Although that last shot where he goes, "Mama," and she goes, and he's like, that did kind of pull a little bit. But it's all like, you should have just let her go earlier. She kept saying, "Stay with Farid. He'll protect you." But you kept running to her. By the way, Dominic Purcell is in this. He's apparently the leader of the group. But he's wearing the same outfit he would wear in Legends of Tomorrow. So it made me think of Mick Rory hijacking a plane. Maybe this is an alternate timeline. An alternate Earth where he stayed a villain. He's apparently called Berg here. I don't know. But, yeah, and it ends with Elias embracing Farid, who has been let go, because apparently this means, did they see the vampires? Apparently this means that he's not bad, or there's no there's no evidence anymore. I don't know. Lets him go. By the way, he has one hand, and they had him handcuffed. How was he handcuffed? I don't know. But, yeah, I would say, though, that I enjoyed this. The kid was the one thing that I didn't like about the movie. Everything else was good. But I would say that when it comes to Blood Red Sky, it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Blood Red Sky? Blood Red Sky in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.